Hello and welcome to another episode of The Grindbin. I'm Mike Wood.
I'm Chris Mann.
Today we're going to be covering 1979's Malibu High, and boy, are you in for a treat.
You know, only if we had teachers that were as persuasive as the ones in this film, we'd all be better off, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know about you, but I would have done anything, and I mean anything, and not to do summer school every single year of my high school career for the same subject, algebra. In fact, I would put the bra in algebra if it came down to it, but you can get what we are alluding to. Mike, please continue.
Well, I want to give you a little slice of the time. In April of 1979, Iran overthrew the Shah. 98% of the electorate voted to turn it to an Islamic Republic, which is what we have now.
Yeah.
Also on April the 1st, Nickelodeon became a network. On April 20th, President Jimmy Carter was attacked by a swamp rabbit. While fishing in his hometown of Plains, Georgia, USA.
And the swamp rabbit was never tried.
In May of 1979, Margaret Thatcher became the first female Prime Minister of Britain. And in May of 1979, Malibu High was released in the theaters.
Amen.
So if you want to get a slice of what was going on in the world and how relevant this movie was at the time, not at all. Fun fact, Malibu High was released on DVD on September 11th, 2007. I find that fitting.
No.
The budget of the movie today was $56,000. And my inflation calculator says the budget today would have been $184,356, which is still a low-budget mess. Directed by Irvin Berwick, born 1914 in New York City, died 29th of June, 1997 in California, heart attack.
Oof. Well, at least he went out naturally, other than, you know, he didn't try to fix a lamp, or he wasn't, you know.
Like somebody we know. That will be mentioned on a later episode. So now we'll let you in. Why does the audio in the beginning of these episodes sound so much better than the rest of the episode?
Because we recorded them on a potato, and now we are recording on a kumquat.
Well, we originally recorded them with lav mics. It didn't sound as good.
Yeah, it was more freeing, I thought. We felt less, entrapped by holding a microphone the whole time.
Yes. But about the fourth episode, we switched to the handheld mics, and the quality is worlds better.
Yeah.
But the original 3 episodes are still going to be played for you. And the following episode, after we're talking here, is with the lav mic. So please excuse the less than stellar quality of the audio, but it's still fine.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Irvin. This is from his IMDb page, his biography. Irvin was a child prodigy, playing concert piano before the age of 10. Although he never gave up playing privately, his career was to be in films. His first job in Hollywood was a dialogue coach, working under contract at Columbia Studios in the mid to late 1940s, and frequently with William Castle, who directed a ton of B-movies.
Yes.
Including House on Haunted Hill.
Exactly. One of my personal favorites.
He was employed at Universal International throughout much of the 1950s, and he worked with Jack Arnold, who's a director on several science fiction thrillers and westerns, such as It Came from Outer Space, 1953, Creature from the Black Lagoon, 1954, The Incredible Shrinking Man, 1957, and lots of TV. 4 episodes of Rawhide, 26 episodes of Gilligan's Island, 15 episodes of The Brady Bunch, and Irvin was the dialogue coach on Against All Flags, which starred Errol Flynn. He then joined with a makeup expert, Jack Kevin, to form a production company, Van Wyck Productions. The company's first picture, The Monster of Piedras Blancas, was a deliberate attempt to emulate the success of Creature from the Black Lagoon. In the early 1970s, he began teaching filmmaking in UCLA Adult Extension, which he continued for nearly a decade until he went to make this movie. His credits include directing 1959, The Monster of Piedras Blancas, 1961, The Seventh Commandment, 1964, Strange Compulsion, 1966, The Street Is My Beat, 1968, Ready for Anything, which he didn't use his name for.
Really?
He put a pseudo as Darcia.
Oh, not a kind of a John Smithy situation.
Mm-hmm. Oh. 1977, Hitchhike to Hell. He used Irv Berwick. And 1979, which was the last movie he directed, Malibu High.
And this is the definitive fall from grace, if you will.
He was the father of Wayne Berwick, who also directed 2 movies, Microwave Massacre in 1983 and The Naked Monster in 2005.
Oh, wow.
22 years later between his movies.
Carrying
Very
the dream.
interesting.
Yeah, carrying the torch.
His son was also in his 1959 movie, The Monster of Piedras Blancas, as Little Jimmy. The Microwave Massacre synopsis on IMDb, which I'm very interested in. A guy kills his wife because she's a bad cook. Now, what's interesting is Microwave Massacre was actually written by the man who wrote this movie, Malibu High, Thomas Singer. Thomas Singer has no bio, but he only wrote 2 movies, Malibu High and Microwave Massacre. John Buckley, who's the other credited writer on this movie, only has 2 credits as well and no biography, and the 2 movies he wrote were Hitchhike to Hell by Irvin Berwick and Malibu High. So they knew each other well. Now let's get into the stars here. Jill Lansing, who plays Kim.
Kim Bentley. Gotta love her.
She has no real bio, and nobody knows what happened to her, but I do have some interesting information that might correlate.
I'm dying to hear this because I'm one of those majority people that have no idea, and I'm just dying to know.
So the only thing I have on her is a mini biography written by somebody named Woody Anders on IMDb, and he's definitely a fan of this movie. Jill Lansing was a fiery, sexy, and attractive brunette actress who only starred in one memorably trashy and entertaining down and dirty 70s exploitation gem, but nonetheless made such a strong and indelible impression as the lead in said picture that she continues to amaze and win over fans more than 30 years after the film was initially released. Despite her fierce and compelling portrayal of this deliciously nasty, amoral, and alienated femme fatale character, Jill Lansing, alas, appeared in no other movie and seems to have vanished into thin air.
You know, I wonder if she met the same fate as that bus in Cheerleaders. I think that's what happened.
Next week's movie. Yeah. This is the only thing she ever did. Nobody knows if she's dead or alive.
I don't think she wants anyone to know that.
However, through my research, I only found one other Jill Lansing.
Oh, boy.
Who's a prominent LA attorney who defended Lyle Menendez in his first trial and was in a documentary called Reckless Indifference, which I cannot find a copy of to watch online.
She's in this documentary.
Yes, she is.
Oh.
Because she's the lawyer who represents somebody. This was a documentary made by the man who made the Waco documentary. I don't think it's the same woman. It's almost impossible to find a picture of this attorney. I have looked online. I can't find anything. She is no longer practicing. I tried so hard to find any information for Kim, but it's just not there.
Dead ends, man. Just,
This is one of those movies where almost everybody has disappeared. Stuart Taylor, who plays Kevin, Kim's ex-boyfriend in the movie, only has 2 credits. He was in this movie, and he was in 1 episode of The Waltons as a council member. So I don't think he had any speaking lines.
Yeah, he's purely background noise, which I think suits him very well when you see this film. Well,
Great performance.
Yeah, I mean, great artisan workmanship on that heart Valentine on that wall, because he did that, I'm assuming, right? Not Kim.
Katie Johnson, who played Lucy, who's Kim's friend, who in the regular version of the podcast, we can't remember her name. Again, disappeared. 1979, Malibu High. She did something in 1990, TV movie where she played a secretary. 1998, that's it. Tammy Taylor, who plays Annette, has done some movies and TV. She's mostly famous for being in Meatballs Part 2, and she was a series regular on Days of Our Lives for a year. She still acts and is in short films and credits herself as a costume designer. I found her information and I tried to contact her for an interview. She did not respond.
Surprise, surprise.
Really sad. I also tried to contact the producer of this movie. He also wouldn't respond. He's still making things. He directs some straight-to-video movies, but I couldn't get a response. It's very hard to find anybody who's in this movie that's even contactable. Almost impossible.
And I think that's where we can rely on our listeners, maybe, to start banging on the doors of these people. You know
well,
what I mean?
Don't bother them too much. But I would love to eventually get somebody to interview, but I fear that nobody's really going to want to be interviewed for this.
No, the restraining order is imminent.
I feel this is a part of history that a lot of people want to forget.
Yeah.
The producer of this movie was only 20 when he produced it, so he was extremely young, and I think it's probably very regrettable.
Yeah.
As we'll find in a later episode, I actually know somebody who was the director of photography on a movie we're going to be covering called Blood Diner. He was one of my professors at Chapman. I asked him about it once after class, and his only response was, "You shouldn't talk about things you don't know about. Sometimes you just need to make money." I tried to explain to him that I'm a fan of the movie, but he wouldn't hear it.
My question is, what grade did you get in that class after you had that conversation?
A+. He's a very nice man.
Yeah.
He went on to do much better things, but he was very embarrassed about that movie.
Oh, no.
So the only other person I have here is Alex Mann, who played Tony. Now, his name is Alex Mann.
Yeah.
M-A-N-N. No relation, Chris?
No, not at all. I wish there were.
Unfortunately, Chris's cousin Alex, Uncle Alex.
Uncle Al. Good old Uncle Al.
Died in 2010 of tongue cancer. He was 69 years old. His IMDb profile is pretty amazing. Handsome and muscular actor, writer, and real-life tough guy, Alex Mann was born in the rough neighborhood of Brownsville in Brooklyn.
And he had a huge penis. You know he wrote this shit. You know it. No one says that in their own profile.
It gets better.
There's some self-aggrandizing fucking
Chris?
Description, please.
His father was a pool player nicknamed Q-Stick, and his mother worked at the candy counter at Lowe's Pickman Theater.
Oh, does she have a nickname too?
Mann was involved with criminals in his younger days and served hard time at Rikers Island. And boy, does Tony look like it in this movie. His last credit was in 2007, The Darkness video game. He was the voice of Jimmy the Grape.
Wow, I played that too.
He was also in Microwave Massacre.
As the voice of the microwave.
Malibu High. And here are some of the amazing names of movies he was in. Dungeon of Pain, Invasion of the Love Drones, Satan Was a Lady, Sometimes Sweet Susan, where he played Rapist Number 2.
Oh.
Keyholes Are for Peeping. Okay. A movie called Rosebud, where he also played Rapist, uncredited. Okay. The Young Erotic Fanny Hill. And he played a character named Arnie, and his credit was not as Alex Mann, but as Nick Scales. So I think he wanted to avoid that one.
So this rapist had a name at least.
Yeah. And then I Drink Your Blood.
I know that movie. Yeah.
Needless to say that this movie is truly an enigma.
Yeah.
And we talk about this in the actual podcast. If you haven't watched it and you can find it, search on YouTube. It's there.
Yeah, it's by far, I think, my favorite of the films we've watched. I mean, it's so quotable.
This movie will stick with you for months, years even.
I think the dialogue coach is also you said was the director?
The director used to be a dialogue coach.
Yes. And I feel like the way he coached these lines, who would have coached them as a director, was he deaf?
Well, when we say dialogue, we mean that basically every line in this movie is screamed at by the actors at the top of their lungs.
Help me, Mr. Mooney!
It's amazing to think that he was a dialogue coach, but if you think about the 40s and 50s, people were pretty much screaming their dialogue through a lot of those movies.
As if they were coached that the microphone on the camera is 10 miles away. So you really have to project.
Irvin was 60 years old when he directed this movie.
Maybe he was hard of hearing. There you go.
Maybe. But I do have to say, if you plan on watching this movie, please watch it before you listen to this podcast, because we will go through the whole movie like we do on every one of these podcasts, because for one, it's very hard to find a lot of these movies, so if we don't explain them, you're going to be lost. Yeah. In some other podcasts where they cover movies, they're easily accessible, and they will just maybe talk about the highlights of these films. Our goal is to basically place these movies into their proper context in history.
Yes.
As well as give a brief summary of the scenes. Now, we have fun throughout it.
Think of it as a book club for garbage.
Yeah, there you go. We do thank you for listening to the podcast, by the way.
We are ever so grateful.
Grateful for all the reviews everybody's given us so far. If you could be so kind to rate and review us on iTunes, if you like this podcast, that'd be great. You can find us online at grindhousefilm.com, as well as facebook.com/grindbin. We're also on Twitter.
And we're always open for ways to improve the show, so feel free to suggest ways we can improve. Also, films that we might not know of, that you know of, that you think we'll enjoy. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes, we do have a long list of films already, but we are very open to suggestions. If you have a suggestion, please send it to us. Hell, if you want to be on the show, let us know.
Yeah. Granted, we can only supply 2 microphones, so you're on your own.
We'll find a way. Before we get started tonight, though, I do want to say we have a Kickstarter project we are a part of that we would just like to plug real quick. Chris, take it away.
Yes. Well, we are a part of a film called 54321, a short film directed by Jesse Michaels, who you may or may not know from bands such as Operation Ivy, Classics of Love, and Kamen Rider. 54321 is an astonishing short crime film that is gripping, smart, and impossible to forget. It's the story of a young woman whose brother is killed in a drug deal, and she decides to take matters in her own hands. And it's told backwards in 5 chapters, hence the title. The film uses reverse chronology to tell the story of a woman out to claim revenge against nearly impossible odds. So if you like dark, noir, gritty film dramas, you're going to love this film. And we are very excited to be a part of it. And you can find it on our podcast website, and feel free to donate money to that project. You will be getting some really cool incentives if you do autograph, merchandise, posters, t-shirts. So we're looking forward to doing that, and we'll see you soon.
Yes, it's going to be a real fun project. We just put up our Kickstarter for it. We just made the video for it with Jesse there. I'm going to be the director of photography on it. It's going to be great. Chris is helping as the audio master, and Molly, my wife, is also working on it, Molly Osborne. We're really excited to be working on it. As well, we have crew members. We have Josh Landa, as well as a few other people. Yeah,
Kira Lepper is going to be lending a hand, too.
Oh, she is?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she just saw the post about it. She's like, I'm down.
Oh.
Yes, I'm really excited.
All right, well, good to have you on board, Kira. Well, it's going to be great. So if you could check out the Kickstarter, we really appreciate it. And
Bobby, start the van.
Hey, Bobby, I got the money.
Yeah, I mean, need the key. But you're a hooker.
Get that goddamn thing out of your mouth.
Head and knockers. Spooky ain't got no real poetry. Brenda.
We're gonna play a little game, baby.
I just love fun and games. Get a little girl all hot and horny.
You could have been decent once in a while. And maybe Daddy would decide to kill himself because he couldn't get it up anymore.
What a shame.
Come on, just step on the gas before we get creepy.
I have an idea for this movie with a high school girl, and it starts off and she gets dumped by her boyfriend and she realizes she's failing out of school. So the way she decides to fix this is to become a hooker. But then she's also going to become a trained assassin. What do you think? Oh,
I'm in.
Also, I want her to have no redeeming qualities whatsoever. I want her to be a real bitch.
Basically, you want to root for everyone getting killed.
Yes, and I want to call it Malibu High.
It's because the school has really no place in this film whatsoever.
Because
It's a
I feel
location.
like calling it Malibu High would get a bunch of dumb shits to come in and pay money to
Yeah.
see what they think is a sex movie.
All right.
But is actually, I don't really know what.
I don't know how to define this. Is it a espionage thriller, hooker?
It's something.
It's like a 0069 agent 69 kind of thing at the end.
Yeah, I really don't even know how to begin to explain this movie.
No.
It is... I wrote down a couple times that both Kim and this movie is like an enigma.
Yeah.
You never know what is going on or what is going to happen next.
Well, I know we were in for a treat because it's the second movie we've done that stars a guy named Stewart in the opening titles.
No, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I noticed that. I'm like, oh, another Stewart movie.
Here we are at the old Grindbin.
Grinding away.
We're talking about 1979's Malibu High today. And so let's go ahead and play the trailer for everybody.
I'm going to get the highest grades, and studying isn't going to have anything to do with it.
Kim wants to graduate from Malibu High with honors. Most kids do it by making grades. Kim does it by making appointments.
What are you doing after school? If you're interested, I'll be at High Point.
I'm not interested.
High Point. I'll be there.
She's studying with the best instructors at Malibu High. And if she can't learn enough from 9 to 3,
You game for a little game?
she takes her teachers on a field trip.
Well, that's an offer hard to resist.
Then don't.
Malibu High. Malibu High, where the most important subject is physical education.
How are you, Miss Beckley?
The best, sir. I need extra help, Mr. Mooney. I mean personal help. Couldn't we get together after school?
From history to physics,
The next report cards are about to come out. I want you to know what grade I expect.
About your grades, Miss Beckley. Truly remarkable.
from botany to driver's ed.
What grade do you expect?
An A.
All A's in all of your classes except Miss Damon's English class?
This is the story of a schoolgirl named Kim.
I don't understand. You never seem to study anymore.
Relax, Mr. Elmhurst. Enjoy the view.
Who was the best in her class. Malibu High.
Where to begin?
So, Chris,
Yeah.
tell me, what were your impressions of this movie? What did you think?
Well, it really, it just all wanted to, by the end, I just felt like it was steamrolling faster and faster and faster, and then it hit a brick wall and it exploded all over the place. Like just a fiery ball of nothing.
You know,
But overall, it was just the premise alone. So what is this girl going to do when she gets her grades with honors? because she has no qualifications outside of no skills to go with those grades.
Nothing.
So what is she going to do? I guess she's going to stick to hooking and killing. So what's the point of getting the grades? And
She's very adamant about that.
She's adamant about that.
She's
and,
got to have those grades.
but it's
And
gonna
everybody keeps telling her, "Well, you still go to school." And her response is always like, "Don't worry about it. I need it." For what? You going to college? I mean, what is the point of getting this 4.0?
Yeah.
I think it just must be another personal conquest to hers.
Yeah, I don't see her sucking away into art class.
I have to say, though, that I'm very jealous of the fact that you got to watch this for the first time for this podcast, because I've seen this movie now, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. So it's like jaded me. Like I was watching it in my watch almost like, I wonder if I should tell Chris to watch this one or not, and I wonder if it's even worth doing an episode on, because to me, the luster and surprise of it all has worn away. And I remember my first watch being like, just, I don't know, flabbergasted, I guess. I don't know how to explain. Just so surprised by the end of it that I just didn't know what I'd just seen.
Yeah, at the end, it literally, I just feel like someone flopped a dead fish over my face.
So let's just get it right out of the bat.
Yeah.
Would you recommend this?
Oh, well, recommend to who? That's the question.
You're just going to say that, never mind.
I will, because there's a demographic here.
So, okay, to people that would listen to this, would you recommend this movie?
Yeah. Okay, so let's lay that down. To people that would listen to this, yes, I recommend this movie. Because I think you learn what not to do.
This movie is insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. And it's a great introduction into the type of grindhouse movies that are what you think are one thing, but are something completely different. Because by the looks of the poster, or the cover to this movie, you would think that this is another fun beach romp, like The Van or any of the other ones, would be like a fun sex romp.
I thought I was going to get a few yucks, a few chuckles here and there, but oh, was I wrong.
This movie is nothing like that. And by looking at the poster, you might think, oh, well, it's going to be a beach movie. Maybe it's even going to star the girl in the poster. However, she and everybody else in that cover is nowhere to be seen. The movie has to do nothing with the beach except for the end. And instead, I don't even know how to classify this.
Because I thought at the end, is this now an espionage undercover?
It's certainly not a comedy.
No.
Let's just get that out of the way
no,
right
it's
now.
not lighthearted in
Not
any sense.
a comedy.
No, you will not be smiling at any point in this film.
So let's start from the beginning. The first scene is just Kim waking up.
Yeah.
And immediately, she's already a real bitch.
Yeah, fresh out the gate.
And I have to make this very clear. Kim is the protagonist who has not one redeeming quality.
Nope.
There is nothing about her that you will like or even sympathize with. She is just straight up jerk from start to finish.
Oh, she's a total bitch to her mom, to just about anyone she sees and talks to.
The only thing we know about Kim in the first few minutes is that she has a mom who's waking her up, and she just has one thing on her wall, which is I guess a construction paper heart she made that says Kim and Kevin, and she wakes up and just starts smoking a cigarette. So immediately we know she's a little rough girl, you know.
Oh, you think she made that? I thought it was like a 5-year-old kind of. I thought the art department certainly worked themselves into the ground designing this bedroom decor.
Well, no, I
Because
mean,
it
but
shows.
let's just say in the character sense, I think that's as far as Kim's intellect goes, is being able to make a construction paper heart with her name and Kevin's name.
And that
written
was
in
made
it.
obviously last semester.
We go to this thing with her at breakfast with her mom. She's acting like a jerk again. She's smoking a cigarette at the table, and she tells her you can't smoke and eat. So she goes, fine, I won't eat. And then her friend's just honking the horn again and again and again outside. Yeah. But she says something's wrong. She asks how Kevin's doing. Mm-hmm. She says Kevin's not around anymore.
Right. Oh,
because she broke up with him.
Right. Likely story.
Likely story.
Well, and I love with the mom, you can clearly tell the mom is acting towards a blank wall, later to be edited. And just her performance in this is just, you know what's bad when she steals the show when it comes to the dialogue.
Oh, yeah.
And
okay, now this is where it's going to get really weird.
Yeah.
Because now I have to get into the director of this movie.
Oh.
This is this director's last movie. He was 60 when he made this movie, Chris.
Okay.
And I just have to tell you, do you know what his past profession was before this?
What was that?
He was a dialogue coach.
Oh, that explains a lot.
Dialogue
or
coach.
nothing at all.
Yeah. A dialogue coach with what I would say is arguably the worst delivered lines in a movie I have ever seen. Ever.
I agree.
Ever. Kim, her mom, Kevin, Annette, her friend, I don't even know what the hell her name is. Terrible. Everybody in this movie is god-awful and delivers their lines like they were screaming them into a microphone.
I'm glad you said that because there's no nuance, there's no subtlety. It just... A director's like, give it all you got, first take, or nothing. And they just let it go.
So we get that thing of her in class, and the teacher asks her a question, and she shows herself as a real class clown.
Kim, can you tell us?
What was the question?
What set of British laws led indirectly to the Industrial Revolution?
I haven't the foggiest idea.
It is something that we have covered many times in this class.
I still haven't the foggiest idea.
He goes, I haven't the foggiest idea.
The foggiest idea.
She doesn't have the foggiest idea.
That sums up, I think, every review of this film, of anyone coming out of what this film is about, and just what every actor is thinking at the same time.
I forgot to mention, I'm so glad the trailer brought this up. They played the transition music that they play multiple times in this movie. And like everybody just kind of shrugs at the camera when this is shown. Like it's
Just another day at Malibu High.
The sound design in this movie is amazing. Every song is so out of place. So out of place. I mean, when she's screwing guys in the van, it's like this one song that, you know, that one from the trailer where it's like do 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 do. It's just elevator music.
I was about to say elevator music. I'm glad you said that because I feel like is there going to be a ding and the van doors are going to open and they're going to step off with their luggage? Because that's really how you feel in that scene.
Yeah. Well, we're getting way ahead of ourselves.
Yes,
here. Okay. Let's just say, so Kevin basically makes an appearance, her ex-boyfriend now. And I wrote down some lines they say.
Okay.
She says, I thought we had a good thing going. And he responds with,
We had a no thing. I just put up with you for a while, that's all.
Is that right? Well, 2 years is a long while.
Oh, come on, you've got to be kidding if what you thought we had was permanent. Of course, you are dumb, aren't you?
put up with her for 2 years and wouldn't even call her his girlfriend. So, like, did everybody just kind of go up to him and he's like, oh, aren't you dating that Kim girl? He's like, oh, no, I just put up with her. I mean, I don't blame him. I really don't blame him.
I want to know what holidays are like between the two. I want to know what Valentine's Day is like. What?
Well, I think he made her that heart.
I think that's what it was.
That's got to be where it came from.
The amount of effort is about the amount of effort he's putting into that relationship.
Oh.
It shows in that art. Oh, thank God.
But then
for
she
that.
asks him, we get a little bit of foreshadowing in a scene that's going to come here, a plant and payoff. She asks, are you going to go to the dance on Saturday? And I can't wait to get to the dance. And he says,
Well, I don't know about you, but Annette and I are going in style. I'll check you later.
in style.
Yes.
Check you later.
Yeah. And I was on pins and needles knowing what in style was.
In style.
I had so many ideas in my mind. Is what his suit is going to look like, what her dress is going to look like, and but however, I'm sorely disappointed with what in style entails.
Well, we'll get to the dance, but we have a little bit to go.
Yes.
The next thing is just Kim goes home and we get another confrontation with the mom.
Oh yeah.
Who's always in the same robe in this movie, except for one scene. She's always in the same damn robe, and she's just always cleaning or dusting.
Yes.
Kim walks in and says, all you ever do is dust. That's why Daddy left.
And here's the bombshell that just made my jaw hit the ground when I heard this one, who then killed himself.
Yes, the full quote is,
You could have looked decent once in a while, instead of worrying about dirt and dust and greasy buildups, maybe then you wouldn't have driven Daddy away. And maybe Daddy wouldn't have had to kill himself because he couldn't get it up anymore.
Maybe Daddy wouldn't have killed himself because he couldn't get it up anymore.
It had nothing to do with Mom. Nothing to do with Kim.
No,
he just couldn't get it up anymore. I'm sorry. Thank you. Good night. Where's the red wine, the Ambien, the toaster, and the bathtub? Good night.
What makes this even worse is while she says this, it starts cutting in music to the dance, which is the next scene. So as she says, because he couldn't get it up anymore, instead of getting a reaction shot from the mom, we start getting...
And maybe Daddy wouldn't have had to kill himself because he couldn't get it up anymore.
Worst transition. I don't know what they were
music
thinking.
that begins right after that statement is hilarious in its timing. It's like it was some sort of punchline. Like, play me out, keyboard cat. Dad couldn't get it up. He's dead. And then just pause on the mama's face.
Because again, this is not a comedy. This movie it's not funny. There's no jokes in any sense. However, on the scene which has arguably the most emotional impact, we play a comical song over the reaction shot to just get us into that dance. And the dance, I would say, I guess, is being held at a Mexican restaurant or something.
I thought I was watching a sequence from the Cantina bar from Star Wars, honestly. That's what I felt what was going on.
So, like, I don't know if this is a school dance or just... I guess we pan out later and find out it's just some disco.
Yeah, it's just the dance in this movie is just a general term. It has something to do with school or any formal function.
Yeah, I would call it less of a dance and more like them eating at a Mexican restaurant with a few people dancing on the corner.
Yeah.
And there's no DJ to be seen or anything. No. I have no idea. It looks like, and this would be really funny, is if they filmed this scene without music and they just told these extras to go ahead and dance.
You know that's what happened.
So Kevin and his new girlfriend Annette shows up, and Kim's all bummed, and she convinces her friend to leave. But this is where we get the introduction of Tony. Mm-hmm. Oh boy.
Good old Tony.
Tony, the resident drug dealer and pimp, hanging out in a van, looks like he just woke up.
Yeah.
And Kim wants to buy weed from him, and then he immediately asks her when she's gonna start hooking for him.
This movie's full of great life decisions and lessons.
But Kim says no. But they go home and they start smoking weed out of a giant bong. Kim's being a real bitch again. I mean, in a real bitch.
Like,
her friend is nice and like, oh, let's go over to my house. We can hang out. And Kim's just being nothing but a jerk the whole time.
You would think she gets mellowed out by what they're dealing with.
No, they smoke weed. She gets angrier.
Yeah.
She drinks, gets way angrier. And then, this is amazing. She decides... After she's had quite a few bong hits, which she said is doing nothing for her, and quite a few drinks, she tells her friend she decides she's gonna be a hooker so she can make money and get good grades. But then just passes out and has a flashback to her father hanging himself. Yeah. In the middle of this scene. There's no context for this. Nope. It makes no fucking sense. It will not be brought up again in the movie. It has nothing to do with this life decision she's just made. We just see her father hanging from a rope.
And her as a young child. Well, they give her pigtails, I think, to make her seem younger.
They just take Kim and put her in a nightie with pigtails. She just walks into a room and is like, Daddy.
There's this Bruce Wayne moment of I can't move on because of this tragedy has occurred. And I just, this drunken resolution and her big quote, you're going to see big changes starting tomorrow.
Yeah, this is after she wakes up from the flashback of her father killing himself.
This is the catalyst. This is the event that's going to spark her newfound career path and whatever she's going to do, which is now going to be lying on her back.
Yeah. So the next day, she's going to make a change. She gets up, and which I think is probably the dumbest move in this whole movie, is that she puts an X through that heart on the wall.
Yeah.
But you can't see it.
No, I didn't know
because
what
it's
she was
red.
doing. Yeah.
She takes her red lipstick and draws a red X on a red heart, and the camera like zooms in really fast to try and catch it. It's like, why don't you just have her take it off the wall and rip it apart?
Well,
It would have been made more sense.
well, there goes half the budget to make another one.
We only got one of those hearts. Don't ruin it too much.
Yeah.
We might want to use it later.
Right.
We go to school, and Kim's held after class because she's dressed, well, I guess slutty.
I thought, her whole, she's dressing for success. She looks like the new spokesperson for Moon Pies. Only if the costume was were purchased in the youth section.
Yeah, you know what? She looks like Little Debbie.
Yeah, that's
like
what I'm
Little
thinking.
Debbie,
Little
but
Debbie.
dressed as like if a 18-year-old tried to wear Little Debbie's outfit.
Exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's sexy at all.
No.
I would say it's the antithesis of sexy. It is the exact opposite.
But apparently high school teachers get off on it, as we will find out.
Everybody reacts really violently to her, which I think is interesting. Is that she comes on to him in such a boorish way. She walks over and is just like, "Meet me at High Point." Like, there's no sexiness to it.
She's like threatening them, like,
"Maybe I dress this way because of you." And the teachers are kind of taken aback by it. They're like, "Kim, please."
Well, I like the confrontation of the teacher. Is it Mr.
Let's just say Mr. Anderson.
Yeah. It's all forgettable. They're all the same
Yeah.
teacher, just a different beard or mustache or classes. But the whole thing was, there were more eyes on you than there were on the blackboard. Well, my simple solution, put her next to the blackboard.
Yeah, there you go. So even though we'll get to them actually meeting, but it sounds like the teacher has no interest in meeting her. But she still says, "Meet me at High Point."
Right.
But then we go to the parking lot and Kevin sees her and, he's got some renewed interest. But Annette, she's pissed.
Right.
Calls her a slut. Kim walks over and I put in quote, punches her in the nose. Because that punch is a good 4 inches away from her nose. And she doesn't even punch. She just kind of gives it like this jab.
Yeah, it's like a half pull.
And there's no cut or anything. It's just... We clearly see the fist not hit a face.
Yeah.
And then the next shot of Annette, she has a bloody nose.
I think she hurt herself more falling back into the car than from the actual punch.
So you would think maybe like Kim, you have some sort of sympathy for Kim, maybe sympathy for Annette. No. Every single person except for Kim's friend. I feel bad for her because she somehow gets caught up in all this bullshit and Kim is just... She takes life by the balls. Like, she really grabs it.
But in the
and
worst
just,
way. Oh,
yeah.
she cups the balls, is what she does.
Yeah.
And goes for the shaft with teeth. And there's no sympathy because you think with the scene of her dad dead, you'd think there'd be an ounce of sympathy. There is none to be had. They do a good job at flushing that away at any opportunity they have because it's just so easily forgotten. Any sentimentality.
You know, that's an interesting concept. Like, what if they finished the movie and they were like, "Man, this girl's a real bitch. We got to do something to make us feel some sort of sympathy for her.
Vindication.
Yeah, just show her father dying, Maybe that'll get the audience on her side."
Yeah.
And they just, like, that would be great if they just cut in that scene after, like, reshoots of her hanging himself.
Because it's whatever effect they wanted, it failed miserably.
So then we go to High Point, and the teacher, lo and behold, meets her there.
And he's wandering aimlessly through the flowers. And
Which is so weird because they all seem to know where to go.
Yeah, High Point, is this a tourist area? Because obviously it's not, or else more people would be there. It's a very secluded hill view of the ocean, and you would think it would be a very popular spot. But how come everyone knows where it is?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you would think there'd be other people out there.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be like a secluded area where none of the teachers are going to know.
Right.
Nobody's ever going to see them, yet they all know where to go.
Exactly.
Because she even asked them, she goes, "You know where High Point is?" Always ask them, "Do you know where it is?" And they go, "Well, of course I do. Everybody in town knows where High Point is. Come on." So then we get a long sex scene with a lot of back.
Oh, yes, I was going to mention a lot more back and birthmark.
Yeah.
Wherever that is.
It just seems to be a running theme with these movies. There's a lot of back.
It wasn't more of a sex scene as it is more of a rub scene.
That's what they all are in these movies. There's never an actual, like, even simulated sex. It's all just, like, rolling around.
And they all have their pantaloons on.
Yes, they always have underwear on, and there's so much back.
Yeah.
So much back. So then we get to hooking with Tony, where she has decided to become a hooker, and they're negotiating the terms. And the terms are 40 for the whore and 60 for Tony. So she gets 40%. And we don't find out how much that is yet, but we will.
Oh, yeah.
So he wants her to drop out of school. She says no. She needs those grades.
And she intends to graduate with top grades and top honors.
And unlike every good pimp, Tony says he's got to test the goods before he can sell it.
He's got to dip his spoon in the pudding.
So this is a great scene because it's not a sex scene. It's just Kim getting undressed and getting mad.
And having a bitch face for about 2 minutes.
It's a good 2 minutes of her like taking off her shirt slowly and just staring him down.
Yeah.
And you think there'd be some sort of payoff to this? No, we just cut.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, that's right. She gets her friend, and again, I feel so bad for her friend, to drive her to the docks where Kim is going to be hooking out of Tony's van. And here's when we find out the whopping payday that Kim's going to get.
From the generous Mr. H.
So,
the man on the go, Mr. H, who's ready and raring.
Yeah, this guy just pulls up. He just pulls up in some car.
A nice car, too.
Yeah, a nice car.
And he looks nice.
Doesn't even park at a spot. Walks over to the van and he's like, oh, this is the girl you told me about, huh? And Tony says the price, $50, which means that Kim is getting paid $20. $20 per fuck.
And that was her gas money just to get there.
$20 per job.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like her gas money to get there. She screws a lot of guys. And I mean a lot of guys, because there is a line.
There's a line. And it's like they're trying to illustrate the commentary of the working man's struggle, because there's every kind of man in that line.
I was going to say.
There's a man wearing a hard hat. Looks like another guy's a plumber. And then I thought there was a firefighter at one point.
Basically, it's the village people. The entire village people van is lined up outside this van. You're right. It's like they painstakingly went to say, she really is the working man's hooker. Hard hat, fireman, policeman. Like all
no
sorts
knob
of...
unpolished in this van. But Mr. H, he says something like he wants it a certain way. And he goes, I want it the French way or something. And I guess they settle on the Greek way. But his just the fact that he has a preference at this point for $20, you just shut up and you get what you get.
Yeah. Oh.
Like there's no, I'll have the top shelf, oh God.
I think it's absolutely insane. I mean, you would think like maybe 1 or 2 jobs, but there is a line of men. There's
no discretion.
And it's just like one after the next, like just straight up dumpster. I mean, she is nothing more than a receptacle. Like, it's terrible.
There's nothing left but a torso and 2 arms at the end of the night.
So, and trust me, we know she did a lot of guys because she drives a brand new car to school the next day.
Yeah.
And everybody's looking at it like this is a very fancy car.
Right. It's not that impressive.
How many guys did she do? Well, I mean, there is another thing where at one point a teacher says something like, oh, that's it, right here. So he says it's been 6 weeks. So 6 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only time we know time has passed.
Right.
Because they never mention it otherwise.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is my 5th watch, and that's the first time I've ever noticed that line.
Yeah.
So I guess 6 weeks of $20 a guy. And I can't even count how many guys it is. I mean, hundreds.
I can't even tell you.
But we do see that she's like getting money under the table.
Yes.
Because that one guy, she was like, oh, you're ready to go again? And he's like, oh, I didn't pay
freebies.
for 2.
Yeah.
She pays him. He pays her directly.
Yeah. And she's kind of just holds on to the bill the whole time. Like she has nowhere to put it.
I'd like it if she just held on to the bill the whole time.
Well, she did, I thought. I didn't see it being like shoved anywhere. And then just kind of hold on, reaches behind her and just kind of, then she pulls her hand away. All right, ready to go.
So Kim drives her new car to school. Kevin's real jealous.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because something's going on with her.
And you would be amazed that someone would be jealous at someone like Kim.
Yeah.
It just doesn't compute.
But now everybody's real interested in her. Ever since she got in this hooking game. And trust me, if she's screwing that many guys, everybody knows what she's doing.
It seems
everybody.
Like a small town.
You know what? LA's a big town. But that many guys?
Yeah.
If word's getting around. Like, have you tried the woman by the docks?
Yeah.
Just line up outside the van.
Find the line of men.
Yeah.
Find the village people.
And this isn't suspicious at all, by the way. Never would a cop just pull up and go, I wonder why all these men are waiting outside a van. I wonder why. All these men with boners standing outside this van.
Really good ice cream, I suppose.
So she goes into class and she confronts her teacher and says she's going to get an A. Mm-hmm. And demands it, and he argues about it, and comes up with something like, "Oh, well, nobody would ever know." And then she mentions a birthmark,
and that's the ace in the hole.
And guess what we get? The transition music.
Yep.
Her plan's coming together. Mm-hmm. So then, this is the first time we ever go to her physics class, and she decides she's going to hit on this teacher too. So I guess the 6 weeks planted the seed, got an A. Now she's going to work on the next teacher. He also responds incredibly violently to her proposition.
Oh, he just really gets in her face. He's having none of it.
Yeah, like absolutely livid that she would even ask.
Yeah.
But she still says, meet me at High Point. We don't know if he's going to go, but we know he is. Mm-hmm. But then she tears out of school and almost runs over Kevin and Annette. And I'm going to play the audio for this for everybody now. But Annette's lines in this part, she keeps saying over and over, she's just a piece of shit. A piece of shit. She says piece of shit about 3 to 5 times. And she says it so good every time.
She's a piece of shit. How could you ever have gone around with a piece of shit like that?
She's just trying to prove something, okay? Don't let her bug you, huh? Come on, let's go, huh?
She's proving something, all right. She's proving she's a piece of shit.
Annette, will you forget about her already?
Yeah, okay, but she's still a piece of shit.
I just love that whenever she passes her ex, she's got this look like, I'll show him by being the best high school hooker in town. And I just don't see the revenge logic in here. Because this is marketed as a revenge film. Am I wrong? Because I feel like that's the whole thing, is she's getting revenge on something. I feel like they're trying to shoehorn.
Yeah, well, it's a revenge film. As far as marketed, I have no idea.
Because how is being a hooker revenge? I just don't get it.
So after Annette calls her a piece of shit 3 to 5 times, she says she has to go get money from Daddy. They have this weird scene where she goes to his office and just asks him for money. She's a real daddy's girl.
And that scene really does not need to be here. Anyways,
well, I think it's only because we're going to meet him later.
Oh, yeah.
So I think they felt like we have to get him in earlier somehow to show who he is.
Right.
Because other than that, we would never know he's Annette's dad.
Right.
He's a big wheel.
He's Daddy Warbucks in this thing.
He's running the town, this guy.
Yeah.
So then we see Kim at High Point. She has sex with her physics teacher.
Mr. Mooney, right on schedule. No amount of physics or lessons in physics can keep his pants from falling down. Miss Kim.
And guess what we see a lot of? Back. A lot of back.
Yeah. About an ankle, too, I noticed.
Back and ankle, yeah. It keeps panning down to their feet. It's so bad. Mm-hmm. So bad. And you can't feel bad about fast-forwarding over those ones in these movies. I don't blame you if you don't watch the sex scenes in these movies, because nobody should. Mm-hmm. Nobody should. Because they were expecting you to be having sex during this part of the movie, not caring about the people on screen doing it.
It's more of a cue of when you should be doing it, because this is like let's go out to the lobby, let's get into the asshole. That's kind of the same idea of these sex scenes in these films is, and pants are down, go, and you have about this amount of minutes get done, and then we continue the plot or lack thereof to the ramming speed conclusion of this film.
So then we get that scene. Another sex scene. It's like sex scenes back to back.
Yeah.
It's Kim having sex with her teacher, and then Annette trying on her new earrings, which we don't see at first. She just goes, aren't they great? And then there's some awkward sex scene between her and Kevin. Then we do get to see the earrings, and really they're not that special.
Much like mall kiosk earrings, but...
But the best part, this is probably the best sex scene I've ever seen in one of these movies.
Right.
Because it starts with a extreme close-up of a bear's eyeball.
Yeah, that's right.
Because they're on a bearskin rug, and it just has this really, really close-up of the eyeball, and then just zooms out. And we can see them blurry in the background, but the main area of focus is just a giant bear's head on a carpet.
And they missed a big opportunity for kind of like, I would make the bear's eyes start rolling in the back of its head at some point. Because I think sorely missing some comedy.
It is really odd that you don't even actually see any of their sex scene. It's just this bear rug.
Yeah, maybe it was just too good. They didn't want to upstage the Kim sex scenes.
I like that director's choice. I could imagine him on set being like, no. You have no idea how sexy this is going to be. We're not even going to show him. It's so sexy we can't even show him. Just shoot the bear. Shoot that bear.
Did how much this bear costs? It's probably the biggest.
Yeah, it's like the producer's note is like, you got to put in this bearskin rug I got.
Yeah.
I really want to show it off.
Yeah, that was how it happened.
So Kim goes home. Her mom's getting suspicious. Blah, 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 blah. She's always bitching at her.
I'm doing relief work. Oh, she's doing relief work, all right.
Relief work.
She's doing a lot of...
There you go. There's a joke.
She's doing a lot of relief.
We get one joke in this whole movie. But this is where we meet Lance.
And Lance...
Kim goes to the beach, and Lance changes this movie 100% from where it is at this point.
And the guy, his entrance is great because he parks like a total asshole.
So he drives a Rolls Royce to the beach.
Yeah.
He parks like an asshole. He walks out onto the sand in a suit.
Yeah, sharply dressed man.
Sharply dressed. He's a high-class pimp.
Yeah.
So he propositions her right there on the beach, and he says...
Hi, Kim.
Hi. Do I know you?
No, but I know you.
Oh?
Let me explain. I know Tony.
Oh.
I saw you with him once, but you didn't see me. Anyway, I know all about you.
Oh, you do? Is that good or bad?
It's good.
Then I take it you want to do business.
Yeah, but not the kind you think. You see, I'm in the same business Tony's in, only on a lot bigger and better scale. I do business only with the most important people. I'd like to make you a deal a lot more profitable than the one you have with Tony.
No. I'm satisfied where I'm at. Thanks, but no thanks.
I don't expect you to make a decision right now. Give it some thought.
A guy in a nice car offers you a better deal for your craft. You fucking take it on the spot. The fact that she says, I gotta think about it.
Yeah, and this is my favorite part. He gives her a business card.
Yeah.
Pimp with a business card. Absolutely amazing.
Can we speculate what that business card reads?
I wish they showed it. I wish they showed it, because I want to know his description. Like, what does he call himself?
Entrepreneur.
I guess. So Kim goes over to Tony because she hasn't decided on Lance yet, and she asks for more money. He decides to beat her.
Yeah.
And throws her out of his house.
Yeah.
So the next shot is she's with Lance.
Yeah, and now it's time for Lance to sample the goods.
That's right. And Lance tells her before he gets his sample on, she's getting 60% now.
Yeah.
And the fees are a lot more than those Tony fees. Mm-hmm. No more screwing guys in a van by the docks. And this is all high class from here, baby. Yeah. This is high class. Also, Lance introduces her to cocaine, which she becomes very fond of.
Yeah.
So then we get to see a sex scene with lots of back between her and Lance. Then, this is my favorite part. After the sex scene, she calls Tony, and we get a shot of her just on the phone, and she goes,
Hey, Tony, this is Kim. Yeah, I got a message for you, pal. Get fucked.
And then I think doesn't she actually extend her middle finger while she's on the phone, like as if it's going to translate?
Yeah, like Tony could see it too. Double whammy.
Well, dialogue coach, great job.
Do you think she practiced that line before she called him up?
Oh, of course.
Do you think she was like, Lance, what should I say to him? He's like, I don't know, just tell him to get bent. She goes, no, I'm going to tell him to get fucked.
Should I say it as get and then fucked, or get fucked, or should I pause? Get fucked.
Maybe what we saw was the dry run. You know, like, what if she wasn't even on the phone with him yet?
Yeah.
She was just like, what do you think, Lance? Will that work good? Yeah, sure, it's great.
That's what they should have cut to right after that. All right, now call him for real.
The funny thing about Lance is that Kim seems so much more interested in him than he is her.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he couldn't give a shit less about what she says, about what she does. Mm-hmm. But she is so into him. And everything she says, he just kind of responds with a like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Oh, terrific. Atta girl.
So we get to Kim's first high-class job.
Yes.
And it seems to be going fine until the guy brings out a pair of handcuffs.
The shekels. Whole new ballgame.
I would say her reaction is not justified. He brings out these shackles, and immediately we hear horror music, and her just freaking out. Absolutely freaks out over the idea of this. And he then tries to rape her, and she kills him with an ice pick.
It's all sex and violence until someone gets an ice pick in the back. And you would think that of such a high-class business model that Lance is running, this would have been disclosed. Apparently it wasn't?
Yeah, so the next scene is the man dies on the floor, and we cut back to Kim and Lance. Is Lance mad?
Hell no.
Hell no.
No.
In fact,
it happens.
He goes, we'll just set up some fink. Mm-hmm. That's the terminology he uses. So there are just like dozens of people they could just put these raps onto.
Yeah.
And it's just like, hey, whatever, we'll just get some fink to do it.
And
the cops
that
are just looking
is
for somebody to arrest.
Cause for concern. If I were Kim, I would get the hell out of there.
Well, there's even a part when she says, is that's what's going to end up to me.
Yeah.
And he's like, not as long as you keep doing the work. So this must just be all the other hookers that...
There's a whole closet. There's a whole ditch outside full of skeletons, just like Kim.
He tells her we're going to set up some fink. Then it cuts to her, like, I guess she's just sitting around doing cocaine on the couch all day.
Right.
Lance comes in and gives her a gun, and her response is, what the hell is it?
It's an egg beater.
And then Lance gives it to her, and he's like, yeah, looks good in your hands. Yeah, looking good. You know what you should do with that? Go ahead and kill Tony.
Waste him.
I want you to waste Tony. So this is where the movie just transitions immediately, without explanation, into now Kim's going to murder people.
Yeah, that's an assassin.
And the only explanation is Lance says, I saw the look in your eyes the other night.
Yeah.
You're made for this.
Yeah.
So, like, my question is, was this his plan all along?
Right.
Or was he just like, oh, 2 for 1, I got a hooker and a hitman? Like,
it's hard to tell because there's no explanation for anything in this film.
Yeah, and again,
you have to piece together.
Who is this man? What does he
Where did
do?
he come from? How did he get into business? I'm sorry, if there were 20 minutes more they could have written for this film, I want this man's backstory.
Oh, I would love that. If they made a sequel to this movie, which we'll talk about in a minute, it would be amazing if it just followed Lance's character. Mm-hmm. So for some reason, though, he sets up both prostitution and murder.
Right.
This man. So he's a real
mobster.
He gotta be.
He's a boss.
He says there's people above him. We never meet them. We don't even learn their names or anything. It's just always like the boss says this, the boss says that. So then he just makes this proposition like it's a natural progression to her. It's just like, well, you were a hooker, you ran into something, you killed a man, you might as well just start killing full time.
Time to graduate to her girl. Her tone changes when he offers her those big bucks because all attention is drained. She's so concerned. Like, oh no, I don't know. And it's just like, oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, it doesn't take much convincing for her. It's just like, yeah.
And then the music changes to like a more like Brady Bunch relieved, like, do, 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 and they kind of embrace.
So Lance convinces her to become a hit woman. And they got to go practice shooting. So we get a scene with them shooting at cans in a field. Kim's doing great.
She's a natural shot.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Lance was right. Maybe she is a natural at this. Yeah. But then he mentions in the field, he goes, well, are you ready to go kill Tony? And she's like, yeah, I guess. And he goes, well, you got to do it tonight.
Yeah, no pressure. No dress rehearsal. This is it.
Yeah. So then we just see a quick scene of her. And this is like where the movie seemed to just take off. It's like, oh, shit, we got to finish this at some time.
Yeah.
We only have 90 minutes. We got to start wrapping this baby up. So the rest of the movie goes at a breakneck pace.
Yes. I'm talking, it's almost like we forget that she is even a student trying to get good grades.
No, that's all gone now
it's
at this
just
point.
like a whole new movie.
Once Lance shows up, the movie changes completely.
Yeah.
Like you said, complete 180.
Yeah.
So she kills Tony in a parking lot. She has this great one-liner where she just kills him.
Well, the way Tony dies on the car, if you remember, it just kind of like this like spread like, ugh! And his, both of his hands go on, like, kind of flop, and he's kind of like he's being crucified, but he just kind of hangs there. It doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen anyone defy death and gravity at the same time as he did. And I think if he was thinking, if I'm going to go out in this movie, I'm going to go out in style.
Kim's back with Lance, and she loves killing now.
Yeah.
Absolutely loves it. 2 now, first time with a gun. She has nothing but, I guess, jubilation about doing it.
Yeah.
She's ready. She's empowered, and she's ready to go. And Lance says he's got a little surprise for her. A new car. Which she already had a new car, but now she's got an even better car.
But there's a catch.
That's right.
Yeah.
He says, it's for 2 jobs.
Right.
And she says, but you only told me there was 1. And he goes, no, half now, half for the next one. And the next one, she has to kill a jewelry store guy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it's just this jewelry store guy is just more filler, I felt like. Like, we can't...
Absolutely,
just,
like they needed 3 more minutes of the movie.
There's no reason for this.
The movie's going at a breakneck pace at this point, but we somehow have to fit in another murder for some reason.
But we don't need. This guy has no background, no way to support the plot or any of the characters.
We have never met him before. It is an excuse. Like, okay, I'll say again the term breakneck pace, but we have to fit in another sex scene.
Yeah.
She tells him to meet him at High Point. She goes there, kills him with this one-liner.
Well, I'll be damned. I thought this was some kind of a joke.
Oh no, I'm serious. Dead serious.
Next scene, she's going to school in her fancy car. She flips off Kevin and Annette. She's in the principal's office, and the jig is up.
Yeah, you can screw the teachers, but you can't screw the school.
Yeah, the teacher tells on her, and she's going to the principal, and he knows. You're getting all A's except for that female teacher.
Yeah.
She notices one thing about him, and that's that
heart condition, apparently.
for some reason, and I don't know if this is real, but this man has pills that instantly stop a heart attack.
Advances in medicine have been made in this film.
This teacher is so old that he is having heart attacks every 5 minutes. And he has these pills that instantly stop it.
And they felt whatever tenure he has, he's good enough to just not retire and just keep having heart attacks as a principal.
I feel like he's the type of guy who's like, well, if I retire, the big one's gonna kick in.
And they'll find me in my desk doing what I loved.
Yeah. So he says he's gonna expel her. He has no proof, but he says, I know what's going on. You're getting expelled. I need to go to your house and meet your mom. She says, come over tonight.
Which I'm amazed this man could even drive on his own, given his condition.
So she's got to get her mom out of the house, but before she leaves school, she flips off Kevin with 2 middle fingers. Boom, 2 guns. Mm-hmm. So she's really pouring it on thick, and Kevin, he's getting real jealous. Mm-hmm. Real jealous and pissed. But you know what? He could have stayed with her.
And why would he want to?
Nobody does.
And why is he still jealous? Is this the worst?
Because she's got that car. Obviously, with Annette, it was because she's got a bunch of money. Mm-hmm. He heard some stories about this girl down by the dock.
About this van by the dock. He wants in, but he wants it for free.
Yeah, he doesn't want to pay for it. Are you kidding me? On a high school kid's salary? So this is the only time the mom's not in a robe. She's dressed in some horrible dress.
A French maid, almost?
Yeah, and she's going to what she calls club night, which, I don't know, Kim gets her out of the house. The principal comes over. Kim just dresses up in a robe and flashes him.
Relax, Mr. Elmhurst. Enjoy the view.
She makes a switch.
She flushes all his heart pills down the toilet, which is so weird because she could have just hit him.
Yeah.
Or just, like, had him and not given it to him. But she decides, like, I almost think it's like she's thinking in her head, well, I can't have any sort of backing out. Mm-hmm. So she flushes the pills down the toilet. And we know this only because of the sound of a toilet. The sound
effect was just like, she leaves the room, I think it's not even for half a second, and then we hear the flush. It's like, how close is that bathroom to the living room?
You know they just added that in.
Oh, of course.
That wasn't in the script or anything. They were like, oh, nobody's going to know what she did with the pills. I just put in a flush. So the principal dies right there in the living room. She stands over him and just kind of mocks him in his last breath. She goes to Lance and says she killed the principal. And even Lance says at this point, I think it's a little much. He's just kind of like, Kim...
I kind of created a monster.
Yeah.
Kind of pumping the brakes on this killing business.
Yeah, he's starting to get a little bit worried about her. And so she mentions that they should go to Tahiti.
Yeah.
Or no, I'm sorry. She says we should go somewhere after I graduate. And he says, how about Tahiti?
Yeah.
She is ecstatic. Like, couldn't even believe Tahiti was mentioned, of all places.
And she's still focused. Again, she's still focused on graduating at the top of her class.
Still got to graduate. He even
just
says at one point, it's like, why do you even care about the school?
Yeah.
And she's like, I need to get my A's. I'm going to graduate.
I'm going to graduate from that school. And I'm going to make it at the top of my class.
Terrific.
She's adamant about this. But at this point, she's murdering people left and right. I mean, what does she think of the future for a high school graduate's going to be at this point?
Yeah, maybe she feels like that's her validation. It's like it's all for naught if she doesn't graduate. There's all this killing. That's like the only thing she has going for her at this point. Because it really is.
For all the bad things this movie teaches you, it doesn't teach you to drop out of school.
No, she would have been better off.
Stay in school. Don't be a fool.
Yeah.
So she goes back to her house. She's packing her stuff. She flips off her mom and tells her to shove it.
Do me a favor, Mother, okay? Shove it!
She goes back to Lance. We get one more sex scene. Then Lance tells her, you need to kill one more person before we go on our trip. And this person happens to be Annette's father.
And there's always a catch for something, though. It's always a catch.
Yeah. So for some reason, she says yes. She says yes, and then they have a sex scene or something like that. Or they may not even have a sex scene. She says yes, and then it immediately cuts to her saying no.
Yeah.
There's nothing in between or anything. She's just like, okay, I'll do it, no problem. And then the next cut, not even scene, there's no transition or anything. She just goes, no, I can't do it. There's no explanation, but she somehow just doesn't want to do it at this point.
You think she would be raging to do it knowing who the daughter is?
Yeah.
Because does she not know?
This is all planning to what she want. Of course she knows, because she keeps mentioning her dad's name throughout the movie and everything.
So
this
what
guy's
the
a big
fuck is
real
stopping
deal,
her? Yeah.
I don't know. So then Lance just convinces her easily to go ahead and do it. And he says, do it at the beach house. That's where he brings his chicks. She meets Harry at the beach house.
And that's when things get trigger happy.
This is where we're going to stop for a second and say, if you plan on watching this movie, please watch this movie before you listen to this part in the podcast.
Yeah.
If you plan on watching it, do not let us ruin the end of this movie for you. Spoilers are ahead. And I would say there are movies that have surprise endings. We all know Crying Games and, any sort of Shyamalan movie. This movie ends in, very surprising fashion.
Yeah.
So she kills Annette's dad, but then Kevin and Annette show up.
Yeah.
And Kim's got her gun in her purse and just hastily decides she's also going to shoot Annette dead right there in the front yard. Kills her. And how do we know she's dead? Because people walk up after Kim's gone. And Kevin just looks at her and goes, she's dead. She's dead. She killed her. And so then Kevin and her get in this long chase scene on the beach to Night Court soundtrack.
I was going to say that. Yeah. And the only thing you can describe her is, that crazy broad, and just goes after her.
That crazy broad, that bitch. And then he runs after her. The chase scene is very long. There's constantly shots, we see the entire shot of them running down
the stairs.
Very long.
Yes.
Hundreds of stairs.
Yeah.
We see every single stair.
And
then we see them running on the beach and running and running.
Admittedly, I fast forwarded to this part, and so much that all of a sudden I saw the ending.
You were just like, what is this over?
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
And they're like, oh shit.
Yeah, I had to back up. I'm like, I need the full effect of this. Because I felt like it's just as good as fast forwarding as just watching it.
And this really is the Night Court song. I know it is. It can't be the actual Night Court song, but it sounds like it so much. And we see
Judge Judy almost, I think.
Running and running and running and running. They finally get caught in a corner. Kim pulls out a gun. she's gonna shoot Kevin. He's defenseless, nothing to do. And then all of a sudden,
from behind, the police are on a rock, but you hear gunshots, and Kevin kind of braces himself like he's the one who's been shot, but it's not him who's been shot.
And you don't see the cops. You just see his face, and you hear a gunshot, and then Kim falls over dead.
Yeah.
And we just zoom into 2 police officers with a sniper rifle trained on Kim and shot her dead.
That would just happen perfectly perched on a rock at the right time, at the right angle. And she falls face first into the water. And the waves start running in, and the credits roll.
They don't roll.
They'd appear.
Yeah, the credits start appearing over her lifeless body getting hit by waves. Yeah. Like, it's just... The whole credits roll over this is like a good 5 minutes of her dead body in the waves. And like, you're just in shock at the end of this. Like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, because this is why I said it must be better the first time you watch it, because there is no way you expect the movie to end that way.
No, not at all. No.
I mean, like I said, take any twist you want. There's nothing to prepare you for how it actually ends. You would never have guessed that.
Her walking down the aisle, I was expecting, to be honest.
I think we've come to the end of this movie.
Yeah.
I have a few more questions for you, Chris.
Yeah.
First of all, I already got your recommendation. You said absolutely yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's not a comedy, but it is very funny.
For the discussion alone, it's
shocking. If you watch this and you've already listened to it, watch it with somebody else and don't tell them about it.
The conversations that can be spawned for many interpretations of this film, where it started and then where it ends, are 2 completely different places. Not just in tone and...
You never guess it.
No.
Again, by the poster, by everything else, this movie is a true enigma. It is like... You have no idea what you're going to get into if you start this cold. And I'm so glad.
Yeah, I had no idea. I was just...
This is the first time you've seen this?
I was oblivious.
And I was just wondering the whole time, like, because I've seen it so many times now that it's definitely lost its luster.
Yeah.
So I had no idea how you were going to react to this.
Yeah, because I thought it was going to be like a lighthearted, just banging the teacher, here we go. And
not
then
a
few chuckles here and there.
Incredibly serious.
A few banana gags, but... And then cut to her walking down the aisle on her graduation day, and all the teachers are kind of fanning themselves from the heat of having been with her. No smiles. This movie is it's one of the darker ones.
It's incredibly dark.
Yeah.
So a recommendation is yes. Yeah, for sure. And God damn it, if you listen to this and didn't watch the end of it, it's too bad for you. It's been ruined. Mm-hmm. Now, I'd usually ask you in this instance, if there was a sequel, what would you call it? And what would it be about?
Oh, let's see. Well, here's the idea. We focus on the mom. The mom is now adopted another daughter to take place of Kim. This daughter learns about Kim and wants to, I'll say, avenge those that Kim killed.
What if Annette... Because, Annette's dead. Never mind.
Yeah. I'm saying the new daughter wants to avenge those who were killed by Kim. So Kim, the new daughter, takes on kind of a vigilante hooker killer. She goes around killing different hookers, and then, I don't know what, it would be a different tagline, but she wouldn't be banging teachers, though. That's the bad thing.
I think I would want to do a movie, and it would be a movie about Lance, and it would be revealed that it's a prequel, but you wouldn't know it. So we have a whole movie about Lance's character, and like what he actually does, and all these other girls, and how he set them up, and everything like this.
Yeah.
And then the movie ends with his greeting Kim on the beach.
Yes,
is the last scene of the movie.
Okay, brilliant. I'm on board.
So that was it. Malibu High 2. What's the tagline?
Making more than just the grade.
All right. Okay, so Chris, is our new regular feature. How would the world of Malibu High fit within the world of the van?
Well, I believe the straight arrow would pull up next to Tony's van at the docks. And the window would roll down, and Bobby would stick his head out. But he wouldn't say anything. He would just stare with his mouth agape, eyes wild and wide, and just be kind of like...
Yeah, doing that creepy laugh, like when he was racing, doing
and
it,
his
where
head's kind of, and his head's bobbing, but there's no music playing. It's just silent.
or maybe you hear like the distant echo of Sammy John's song, that Chevy Band song.
Yeah. And then he challenges Tony's van to a race. And they race, but he leads them off a cliff, which is High Point.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
So my idea of how this would fit in the world of the van is that Bobby, while he's picking up hookers at the pizza parlor, picks up Kim as one of the hookers. But here's the thing, is like it goes all wrong, right? And she ends up doing something to like emasculate him, like she typically does.
I wore this for you, Bobby.
Yeah, maybe like she's like so aggressive. She's like, "What? You can't get it up?" And he's just like, "Oh, I don't know. This is a little much. You're a little, you're a little too quick for me."
He's usually the one making the moves.
Yeah. In this scenario, it's totally reversed. Like she's just pouncing on him too hard.
Caught off guard.
Yeah, it's kind of like the quote fat girl.
Yeah.
It's like it's too much for him and he's overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
But then I thought like maybe he leaves and DeVito kind of sneaks his way into that van. But then he gets in that chase scene. And like maybe he gets in the chase scene while DeVito's doing Kim in the back. And here's where it gets really weird. The reason he doesn't have the money is because he paid Kim for a double bag. Yeah, a double tip. He paid Kim a double tip.
Because no freebies.
Yeah, so then he can't give Bobby that money. That's why he didn't have it. How do you think DeVito got that money? Like when he eventually did?
Well, where Kim stashed it, she farted.
Yeah, that's right, because he never has any clothes. So.
And she kind of like that cash cage where money flies everywhere. That was the van at one point. So he's just grabbing all the cash that he can.
And it just plays the...
Yeah. And that's how he gets the money back.
And that is how Malibu High would fit in with the world of the van.
Bobby!
Meet me at High Point!
I wore this for you.
You aren't bigger than Dugan.
That's what she gets.
What, do you don't like my outfit? You're into Little Debbie?
I'll give you a moon pie. I'll let you moon pie in my chest.
He was the worst hooker alive. I don't know why there's a line of guys. I don't know why there's a line of guys outside that van. I feel like if they panned over, DeVito and Bobby would be lined up.
All right, Bobby, you give her the money, they'll steal it back.
Here's the plan, Bobby. I'm going to go in there and give it a double bagger.
You wait for her to fight, you catch all the money.
Yeah, you run in, grab that money, which that broad farts it all over the place. Oh, God.
Yep.
I just want everybody to know we're never going to stop talking about the van. If you haven't watched it now, you better, because it's going to keep coming up. And by the way, we'd love to hear your theories on how any movie we watch fits in with the van. In fact, we'd love to hear any theory of any movie you ever watch and how it fits in with the van. Because we feel like Bobby's fantasies could exist anywhere, and that DeVito and Bobby are still rolling around in that van, trying to get laid, running their schemes.
Oh.
So please, tell us how Bobby and DeVito fit in with episode 7, or with The Big Short, or with Spotlight, because that would be a real interesting one. How does Bobby and DeVito fit in with the Catholic Church sex scandal? All of the next episode of Grindbin.
See you then. Bobby!
Well, I think we've covered about enough of that movie. Watch it.
Yeah. Wow.
Leave us comments. Talk to us about it. This one is one that will stay with you for a while. It's never as good on repeated viewings. It's not like The Van or something like that where it just keeps getting better.
This one is just very uncomfortable.
It's one and done for this movie.
Yeah, I have no
one and
intention
done.
on going back to this anytime soon.
No, but I've showed it to a lot of people and I don't regret it. Like, it's absolutely one that people should watch.
Yeah.
Go watch it.
I'm glad it was such a stark contrast to The Van. And it's a good palate cleanser for the next one from here on out. So, yeah.
Thank you for listening to another episode of The Grindbin. I'm Mike Wood.
I'm Chris Mann.
You can find us online at facebook.com/grindbin. We're also on Twitter, and our website is grindhousefilm.com.
And don't forget to support our Kickstarter for the short film 54321, directed by Jesse Michaels.
Bobby, park the van!
Hey, Bobby, I got the money.
Dad, I made the team!
But you're a hooker.
Get that goddamn thing out of your mouth.
Where's head knockers? Spooky ain't got no real poetry. Brenda.